This is Technomancer for 0 Point Fuel. I finished the motor. I've got all the coils on it, and right now all the resistors are 5K. So you've got actually 12, 24, 36 circuits with 5K resistors on the triggers. So let's give it a shot here. Now I'm having some issues with these cheap meters right here. They're going to have to be replaced, so that's why I got this plugged in like that. They're just all over the place. Turn them on and show you what I'm talking about. And it never pays to buy cheap shit, I'm telling you. So I'm going to calibrate this. I'll go on the output. Give it a little spin here. That's the charge batteries right there. That's what's going in to the charge batteries. 14 amps, 2 amps at 120 volts, and 13 amps at 12 volts out, 23 at 12 volts. So you really got a couple readings here. This is giving you the input and output at 12 volts. That means it's directly comparable. You can figure out the ratio. It's easier. If I go to 120 volts, I have to convert it to watts and then subtract, and I can calculate it that way. This is just an easier way to do that. 13 into the batteries. 13 amps, 13.7, 13.6 into the battery. That's the battery voltage. You can see these things are just stupid here. They're not giving me any good information. They got to be replaced. So we're running off an inverter, so 118 volts, 2.4. It doesn't seem to have as much power as a cart motor, but it has 5K resistors, where the cart motor had 9 coils and it was running at 3.7 resistors. So it does charge good though. Wait until I can get regular voltage readings on this before I do the run test, but I wanted to show you guys it's running, everything's working. I'm going to show you what one coil is drawing in a second. Drawing less amps is not always a good thing because you need that amperage to make torque. So this is at 5K. If I go to 10K, I'm going to be able to drop that down to an amp, a little over an amp. But it has to generate torque. So I'm not sure how well that's going to work. But I did want to show you guys what we're doing here. I might go to 3.7, run 6 coils, do a test like that. This whole next week is what it's about, is working on the generator and trying to get specs on this motor. I'll show you the speed. Now normally the cart motor would be 640, would already be up to 800 or 900 range. So just the lag of it running slower means it's definitely not creating as much torque as a cart motor with 12 coils on it. So the number of coils is not necessarily the determining factor here. It has to do with the trigger. That's what this tuning part is all about. You have to figure out how much torque you need and what you have to do to get that amount of torque. Maybe less coils, lower trigger resistance. But anyway, so 15 amps at 2.5. So I just wanted to give you guys a look and show you where we're at. Everything should be good now. The motor's where I need it to be. I'm going to tune it out, and I'll be posting more videos this week on performance. We're going to try a few things, try to get this thing above 1,000 RPM. Kart motor would climb above 1,000 if you just let it sit there and climb, but it took it no time at all to get to 800 RPM. For this one, now it's slower. I can tell it doesn't have as much torque just by how it's working. So, but it does charge the batteries good. So 15, you can see it's still climbing there. It's actually kind of bouncing around. 15.2, let's call it, in amps, and 31. So it's about a 50%. So the small box motor was 16 amps at 16 amps at 12 volts and 2 amps at 120 volts. So this whole coil issue where you have to worry about spacing, you know, I'm even thinking of maybe creating some shields that would keep that from interfering with the other ones. So I'm really not sure at this point what's going on. I know I could drop it down to 3.7 and get some torque, and I'll do that next week. I was getting over 1,000 RPM with 9 coils, so you can see it's working. And now let me show you what one coil is. Let's leave a bottom one on here. I'm going to pull these. I got one coil hooked up. Now it won't drive the motor, but there you go. 0.16. Outputting 1.4 amps. That's a single coil firing right there. So 1.7, 1.8. Hook another one on here. You can hear it. There's one. Now that's 3.4. So less than a half an amp. 3 amps into the batteries. So, see, we still got our work cut out for here. You can hear them as I turn them on. It's just extremely weak. That's 6. 1 amp. So 1 amp, and we're getting 7.5. 7.5 out. 13.7 consumed. So from that 13.9, let's just call it 14 here. At that 14 amps that's being consumed, we are getting 7.7, let's just say 7.7 amps back out of that 13 amps that's being consumed. It doesn't take into account any torque. That's just what is being transferred to the secondary batteries as it passes through the motor. So, for now, this is Technomancer for Zero Point Fuel, signing out.